Good morning. It's Haystack, and I'm joined this morning with a very special guest here. JJ Barrows is going to be at the Jones Center on Friday night as part of their big comedy series that every few months they have a great nationally touring comedian at the Jones Center. JJ joins us this morning. Good morning, JJ.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So thank you so much for coming on. I did a little digging around. I saw some of your dry bar comedy special. I didn't want to watch the whole thing because I planned to come to the show and I didn't want to spoil too much.
Nice.
But I want to just dig right in very quickly how you got into stand-up comedy. What was most stand-ups, there's a moment when you go, well, this could pay my bills. This could be what I do. Was there a moment like that for you?
I think I'm still waiting for that moment. I got into comedy totally by accident. I was just kind of going through a rough season of life, and I needed consistent therapy at the time, but I couldn't afford it. So I kind of just Googled like other options, like maybe more affordable to kind of like get out of your head, get unstuck, whatever. And improv comedy classes came up. So I signed up for what I thought was an improv comedy class. I showed up. The teacher was like, no, this is stand up. And I was like, that's probably the same thing. I just had no grid for comedy whatsoever. And that first day of class, he was like, everyone get up there and say why you're taking the class. And everyone had these great reasons for, wanting to be a comedian, or they followed whoever. And I got up there and I just I was like, honestly, I just needed therapy and I couldn't afford it. And everyone laughed and the teacher was like, that's funny, man. And I was like, oh, I was being serious. He was like, that's even funnier. And he said, the best comedy is often based on the truth. And if you can just be real about who you are and what you're going through, people can relate because we're all going through stuff. And that was, I guess, my aha moment where, oh man, you mean I could just be myself and like people can relate because we all have our own insecurities. I think I used to maybe hide them because I wanted to be accepted. But when I realized I gave them a voice and I spoke them out, people could relate and they lost their power. I felt less insecure because I was kind of making fun of myself instead of trying to hide something so that people wouldn't make fun of me. And so it was an aha moment in the sense of like, yeah, I think I could do this, but it's been a journey. I still sometimes I'm like, am I really doing this? I don't know.
I can imagine. I was going to say, I realized the moment you said that the truth thing, like the funniest things are rooted in truth.
Yeah.
And the more genuine you can be to yourself, the more you resonate with people. So that's amazing. And you talked about being relatable, and your comedy will kind of blend, very relatable things with some very deep topics. I mean, I've seen some of your stuff talk about faith, talk about, like you said, mental health, personal challenges. And so as you've progressed and you've pursued these other arts, because you don't just do stand-up comedy, do you ever find yourself drifting away from that central truth or trying to put on a little more, or is it easy to stay rooted and just trying to be fully authentic?
I think if I'm honest, especially doing comedy, I for sure have my moments where I'm like, man, this is maybe too serious, or this is cheesy, or other comedians aren't going to think I'm a real comedian. I'll see some other comedians just put on a 1 hour of just like hard punchline after punchline, and it's impressive for sure. But I think in order for me to do it well as myself, that's the only way I can do it, is just as myself. And I think for me, I've just found that if I can just take just a small spot, it doesn't have to be the whole time, but if I can take a small spot just to be a little bit more open about some of this stuff, because my truth is that like, it took a long road for me to find comedy and discover that laughter is healing. And I discovered that laughter is healing because I was going through a lot of pain.
Sure.
And I think I really had to learn how to deal with my pain in order to laugh. And when I realized I could laugh, I realized half the reason so many of us get so offended by things is because we have this undealt with pain and it's rubbing up against it. And so for me, wanting to use comedy to kind of heal not just other people, but myself, I think, I just, even when I am tempted to kind of just be the one-liner comic, I enjoy it more when I stay true to my storytelling. That's kind of what I do.
You're performing at the Jones Center in Springdale, which is an amazing facility, wonderful, family friendly, and basically community event center. There's the only big ice skating rink in Northwest Arkansas, huge Olympic-sized swimming pools and courts, and funny enough, I'm taking improv comedy classes there right now.
No way, that's so cool.
They do adult comedy classes. They do adult swim. They do all these classes. They do so many things. So this is a great venue, and I think you're going to love it. But as I've researched your history, you've done the comedy clubs. You've done the shows in churches. Did I read a story about an awkward dinner party? Is there a very memorable or bizarre venue that you've performed in?
I've done so many bizarre ones. I've done bars. I've done workshops. I've done a breakout session at a teacher's conference, which was not my favorite. at all. I've been at a wedding before where they asked me to get up at the reception and just start roasting guests. I was like,
Oh
that's
goodness.
not my style. So
That's
yeah, there's, they say when you're starting out comedy, just say yes to everything. And I took that road for a while just to get the
sure.
experience and to do the things. I'm in a place now, especially I have a kid now, and I'm more picky with my time. But for sure, early on in those early years, man, I just said yes to whatever gave me the opportunity to just get in front of people and try stuff out.
As you're doing comedy dates, it's the Kind of Funny tour, and your latest book is called Kind of Funny, all right? And so the book I saw someone describe it as comedy club meets therapy session.
Yes.
And so is that does that I mean, obviously we've seen that crosses over onto your stage form. Do you feel like you get a little more deep and personal with the book, obviously? And
Very.
has the crowd reaction to your work on stage influenced your writing in your books?
Yeah, well, I was a writer long before I was performing or doing stuff on stage. And so I think for me, the reason comedy felt like, I don't want to say easy because it's not that it's easy, but an easier transition was because I was already a writer. I was already very much a storyteller. And yes, I would say I very much dive deeper into the books, in part because you're not standing in front of people in real time. And so even though I do try to be real and vulnerable, standing in front of people in real time is very different from sitting behind your desk and typing, as we all know, in the
Yeah.
internet world and keyboard warriors and trolls and all those things. And so I try not to use it to troll people. I try to use it to give a more of a voice to some of that deeper stuff that I'm working through, that maybe even though I can get deep on stage, I still am honoring the fact that people pay to see a comedy show. And so we're gonna also make sure it's fun.
Absolutely. Last question before we take a little break. You got some time to stick around? I'd love to dig a little deeper if that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
But real quick before we take a break and play some more tunes, I mentioned you had a book. You've had #1 hits on Amazon for new releases with your books, and you were talking about you were a writer before you did. As you sat down to write your books, or as you sat down to write for stage, is there much of a difference in how you write?
I would say when I start out, it's very similar in that it's just a dump. It's like a mental dump of just like getting it all out on the page. I would say where it varies is then when I'm going to do it on stage, I go through and you kind of really have to pick out and pull. All right, where is there humor in there? Why did I feel that way? Is that kind of a common human emotion, or was that just me kind of having like my own little personal meltdown?
Right.
I get a little bit more nitpicky with stage because with stage, like I said, like when in real time, you're in front of people, you cannot waste their time. And so I take my time more to like write and draw stuff out and really maybe set up the story more when I'm writing versus with on stage. Even if you're a storyteller comic, you do want to make sure if you're taking long to get to the punchline, you're at least having nuggets along the way so that people are
Right.
enjoying the story. And so I definitely like pick it apart more when I know it's going to go on stage, as opposed to I have more space and time in a book to just kind of let the story flow.
JJ Barrows is going to be at the Jones Center on Friday night at 7 o'clock, part of their Center Stage comedy tour. We're going to come back and chat a little more with JJ in a little bit. We're going to get back to some tunes right now, but if you want to get tickets, there are still tickets available. TheJonesCenter.org is the website where you can get those tickets. And I'll also mention, so the guy that's instructing our improv comedy class, he's got an advanced troupe that I believe is going to do 15 or 20 minutes to open for you on Friday night.
That'd be great.
Improv comedy as well. You get a little bit of both.
I love
If
it.
his instructions any sign, those folks are going to be great. So you'll get a variety of comedy, and it's a great way to spend a Friday night, all family friendly. Okay, all family friendly, and it's thejonescenter.org. Back in about a half hour with more with JJ. Good morning, it's Haystack, and joined this morning by JJ Barrows, a comedian who's performing Friday night at the Jones Center in Springdale. You can go to thejonescenter.org to get your tickets. There are still tickets available. As I mentioned earlier this morning, JJ, there's an improv comedy troupe that's going to perform before you take the stage. At least I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag. That's what we were told. And you said that you had actually signed up for an improv class, or you thought it was, then you realized it was a stand-up class, and you guys got to doing some writing and stuff. But so in addition to stand-up, and you've been a #1 best-selling author on Amazon, you've done multiple books. I guess you also do some visual art too, right? I mean,
I
is that
do.
a piece of your pieces behind you
Yes,
there?
that's one of my pieces behind me. A lot of abstract, a lot of layering, texturing. I add a lot of story forms even into my art pieces. I write on the canvases before I paint over them because I just like the idea of there being this like truth or love or just something hopeful, a message of some kind layered underneath the painting. I think of paintings as you know, like us, we're made up of layers and we have all these deeper things other than what you see on the outside. And so I get sappy as well in my art. Like I get really like a little woo woo, but again, life is just so, I think, rough sometimes. And there's enough negative stuff out there that if I can find any way to just put a little bit more life or color or light or joy into the world, as cheesy as it might sound or seem to people, I'm like, well, cheese is good, so let's do it. There's enough bad stuff out there, you know?
Size for my silly dad jokes. Like, you know what?
Dad jokes are the best.
Right, right. Although to be fair, I mix in some roast humor too. But so you juggle stand-up comedy, you do writing, you do art, you do YouTube videos, I think, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How do you balance all that? I mean, these are obviously like somewhat similar passions in that they're all artistic, but they're also somewhat disparate in ways. How do you balance all those passions? And I kind of asked this earlier, but have you found your comedy influencing your art or vice versa?
Yeah, I would say as far as balance goes, it doesn't look even all the time. I've kind of accepted the fact that things are going to look different in different seasons. And in some seasons, some of it takes a back seat and some of it takes a front seat. And we're never really all like kind of like leveled out at the same time. So like for a while, like my art has been on the back burner because I've picked up doing more shows. And so I'm not painting and creating as much with like paints or, you know, physical materials as much as I would like. But I've kind of accepted the fact that, you know, just taking time away from my art doesn't mean I'm not creative, or it doesn't mean I'm not an artist. It just means this is sitting back here for now. And when the time comes and I get to play some more with that, I do it. And so that took a lot of pressure off of me thinking I had to balance everything well at the same time, especially once I had a kid, because that throws in its own time management. And you really have to figure out how to be okay letting some stuff go. So I don't, for at least for a book, I'm not currently writing for a book and I'm not currently painting, but I'm kind of just like really tapping into pressing into preparing for shows, and especially live shows. There's nothing like live comedy. And so I really try to value people's time who are going to pay to, you know, show up and come to see a show, like to make sure they have a really good time. They're kind of my priority right now, more so than the internet or out there, even though that stuff is great and, you know, whatever, but I try to value the live show performance in this season of life.
So I mentioned you were featured on Dry Bar Comedy, and for anyone not familiar, that's one of the biggest comedy channels on YouTube, one of the biggest series, and it's millions of views. And as I watched that special, you cover a lot about the South's idea of geography. You mentioned your time working for what was it, Alaska Airlines? So I'm assuming the working in something like Alaska Airlines, there's got to be some great stories that just come out of that alone.
Totally, especially because I didn't know where Alaska was. I thought it was next to Hawaii.
How do you think Alaska is next to? Okay, I don't want to spoil anything, but
yeah, South Carolina geography, baby. I mean, the map. You know, if you look at a map, they've got Alaska and Hawaii off to the side on the map. And so for a better part of my life, I just never questioned that. I think it was just always assumed those, you know, we should know that those are elsewhere. And it wasn't until I was hired by Alaska Airlines that I found out where Alaska was. And I was like, oh my God.
I love that. Did I see that you met Rob Lowe in a parking lot? You've had some random chance encounters. Which one has stuck with you the most? Your random encounters?
Rob is a pretty big one because it was literally like 30 minutes before I was out hiking with friends. And I don't know how, I was living in Santa Barbara at the time. And I don't know how the topic came up, but people were talking about like a famous person they would love to meet. And I was like, honestly, if I could meet somebody right now, it would probably be Rob Lowe. And then we get done with the hike, we drive in to go get a smoothie, and we pull into the parking spot, and in the car across from us, my friend goes, oh my gosh, is that Rob Lowe? And I was like, ha ha ha, shut up. Like I thought they were messing with me because of what I had just said.
Right.
And they're like, no, seriously, I think it's Rob Lowe. My husband got out of the car and like walked over. I was like, you can't do that. You can't just walk over, but you can, I guess, if it's Rob Lowe, because he was so kind. He was so nice. And he took a picture with us. And it's just really cool when you meet someone that you've seen on the screen and then you meet them kind of out in the real world and they're just as friendly. That to me is super encouraging. And it's like, okay, yeah, we got this, humans. We got this.
And it's almost relieving because you hear the old adage, you never meet your heroes. And there are those horror stories. And when they stand up to what you've envisioned, it's like, okay, thankfully my instinct wasn't wrong about them. You know?
Yep, totally.
Almost reaffirming, if you will. So you grew up in South Carolina. Do you live? Are you in San Diego now?
Not anymore. I lived there for a time. I've kind of lived all over South Carolina, Chicago, Oregon, California, but now I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm a neighbor.
Over there on Lookout Mountain. The Chattanooga Lookouts.
Yes,
I think.
Yes.
I did a little work over there for a little while. So you grew up in South Carolina. You live in Chattanooga now, which is definitely not a huge coastal urban area,
Not at all.
but you did live there for some time. You lived in Chicago. How's that been? That variety of locations. Have you ever been in or done a show in Arkansas?
I've never been to Arkansas. So
Really?
if I'm honest with you, I wasn't even sure where it was. I had to Google it. But I'm excited because I love going to new places and experiencing the different climates, the different cultures, the different people. I have loved everywhere that I've gotten to live. I mean, especially going from South Carolina to Chicago, like small little beach town in the South to the big city of Chicago was just like,
Sure.
my gosh, it was just,
Culture
it was,
shock.
but I'm so glad I did it. I lived there for 4 years and I loved it. I couldn't dig my car out of the snow anymore after my fourth winter. I was like, I think I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But I love that I did it for a time. And I always encourage people if they have the chance, like, yeah, go spend some time somewhere else, even if it's outside of your comfort zone. You grow a lot, you learn a lot. And I think it's contributed a lot to my comedy because it's really helped me understand different people and different cultures. And some stuff is universal, but some stuff is also very like geographical. So
For sure.
a lot.
Well, hey, you're in Chattanooga. You're not far down the road from Knoxville.
Oh.
And if you've ever spent any time in Knoxville, Fayetteville has a similar vibe. What's very unique about Northwest Arkansas? You have Fayetteville, which is a college town. Then you have Springdale, Bentonville, Rogers. There's 4 like 100,000 people towns or cities that are all within about a half hour of each other. So it's technically almost what you would call like an urban sprawl, just because there's these little independents, and each city has its own kind of culture and vibe, which is really, really neat.
Yeah, I love that.
Northwest Arkansas is home, of course, to Walmart. So you're
Yeah.
coming into Walmart world.
I discovered that. I did some Googling on y'all, and
You
Tyson
did.
really chicken, right?
Yeah, Tyson, yeah, biggest poultry or biggest protein, and JB Hunt. So semi trucks. We got
Nice. Okay.
semis in the Wally worlds. It's on lockdown. 3 Fortune 100 companies here.
Wow. Okay. Impressive.
And the folks at the Jones Center may shoot me because it's named for Jones Truck Lines Jones family, which was a JB Hunt competitor. But yeah, anyway, lots of business here. You're going to love Northwest Arkansas, and we can't wait to see you. JJ Barrows is going to be here Friday night. Friday night, 7 o'clock is the showtime. It's at the Jones Center in Springdale. And you can go to thejonescenter.org to get tickets for JJ or to find out more about any of their classes or events they have there. They've got a lot of stuff going on. They're bringing lots and lots more art events to the Jones Center as well. I'm trying to remember what Jeff told me last night. It was something on ice. You know, they do all kinds of stuff on ice.
Cool.
And I cannot remember now what it was. It wasn't Ghostbusters. It was some big ice theatrical thing. And I thought, that's really neat. They're doing that at the Jones Center.
Yeah, like the ice brigades. Bring them back.
Yeah, I had never been to the Jones. I've lived in Northwest Arkansas for over 25 years, and I had never been to the Jones Center until I went for improv comedy classes. And now I'm just like, oh, they're doing so much stuff here. This is amazing. So whether you've been or not, if you've never been, going to see JJ would be a great opportunity to get introduced.
Come on out, y'all. Come on out.
TheJonesCenter.org. JJ, thank you so much. If they want to find out more about you, I'm assuming you've got a website and the socials and all that stuff.
Yep. JJ Barrows. JJBarrows.com, or just that's the name that's out there. So Instagram or any of the socials, you'll find me, JJ Barrows.
We'll see you Friday night. TheJonesCenter.org for tickets. We'll see you there Friday night. And thanks for spending time with us, JJ.
Thanks for having me. Stoked to be there.